Hey guys, Heavy on 45 here. Did you miss me? You probably didn't. I couldn't think of anything last Sunday. And I did think of something Monday. And I plan on doing it on Labor Day. But some stuff came up. And yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. I was not able to do it on Monday. But I have created two videos for today to bring up, and one of them is the video from last week. So when I say that a day late, which is now basically a week late, that's why. But I figured I'd go ahead and give y'all a treat, going, give y'all double duty of me, and see if y'all enjoy it. And I figured I would come out with. No, you hear all these different theories on My Hero Academia about ideas that people have of stuff that's going on in UA and with All Might and everything like that. And I was thinking about what uh, some theories that I came up with. And most of my thoughts come from watching the anime. I'm reading parts of the manga now, but I'm not reading what has already happened. I'm reading what's coming up, which basically means that every Sunday for the last about 3 or 4 months, I've been reading the My Hero Academia for where it is now in the manga when I check it out on Visit, when they bring out the new chapters of it that they have. So that's where I'm getting a lot of my new information from. But a lot of my ideas, the I have two technical theories that I'm gonna talk about. That it it's stretching, but it makes a little bit of sense if you think about it. Um, the first thing, before I get into it, let me just talk about this. This week, I've decided that since I've watched everything I could on Netflix, I was gonna go back and watch My Hero Academia again. So I was watching My Hero Academia, starting not from just this season, season 4, but I'm like, I'm gonna start back at My Hero Academia season 1 and work my way up and see what can I find that has, like, maybe there's something I missed and stuff like that. And there's something that I realized that, you know, Bakugo has the Vegeta complex. Like, when you first meet Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, he's happy, he's destroying worlds. He's a fun-loving guy. He loves what he's doing. And after he fights Goku, and technically he won, he is upset and bruised for the rest of his life. He's always mad because he always feels that Goku's just a little bit stronger than him. And that's the same thing with Bakugo, because if you watch the first episode where Bakugo is talking with Deku and talking with actually the rest of their junior high class, they're all sitting there and everybody's talking about where they want to go to, and he's the proud kid talking about, yeah, I'm going to UA. He talking about how great he is and how awesome he is. And then all of a sudden the teacher's like, oh, wait a minute, Izuku, you're talking about going to that school too. And you just see this look like, the fuck? How? No, you ain't going. And that's when you see him kind of bully. That's when you see Bakugo kind of bully Deku into, you're not ever gonna make it there. You're not gonna be nothing. And but the whole time he's actually like, you're not. You're just gonna be in the way. You're nothing. And he's very proud of himself until the situation with the sludge villain. And that's when this fight comes up in a way. And it kind of goes deeper than just that. It's like Deku is here trying to save me from a sludge villain when he has no quirk. I hate him slightly for that, but also I kind of appreciate that he actually wanted to save my life no matter how much I've done stuff to him, which is kind of like what we say, a Shonen Jump character. Goku does that. Hence why I said the Vegeta complex. And from that also, once Deku actually gets into UA, that makes Bakugo completely mad because he's like, this guy has no quirk. Then he sees his quirk, and every time from that point on, everything that Deku does either makes him angry or just pisses him off. And so, yeah, it's Bakugo has not been happy since he was in junior high. And it's not like people are ragging him. People are literally trying to be friends with him. Like back in when he was in junior high, he had two friends that were always around him. But ever since then, ever since he's joined UA, he's kind of tried to be the loner. He's let people be around him, but other than Kirishima, he doesn't really let anyone close. And that's the same thing with that's the same thing dealing with Vegeta, like I said. That's why, you know, and I'm sure you could put this to other shonen characters, but these are two that I'm thinking of right now. And that right there was just a side note. So that's yeah. So let's get into my theories on My Hero Academia. Now, the first theory that I have is that All Might's weak form is actually the form of the first holder of One for All. And we know that, now just hear me out, okay? We know that One for All is kind of sentient. It basically takes the knowledge, well, the I want to say consciousness of all the people who used to have it, and it makes it to where all their wheels come together to help the present user of One for All, making it to where, like, when we listen to Gran Torino told Deku back in season 2 that he didn't really have to do a lot of work on with All Might on trying to make sure he doesn't break his body and stuff like that. His stuff was just basic combat stuff. So that means that he worked his body out to where he could actually use the power at full strength early in his life. Well, not early in his life, but in his process of being with his the seventh user of One for All. So his body was already built up to be able to use it. So he didn't have to strain his body like Deku's doing. Because Deku had to do it in a matter of 10 months to get ready for the school. He did it in, actually they never said how long it took him to do. But he probably had the same idea as Deku, where he's like, if I train my body strong enough, I'll be able to somehow get maybe become a police officer or something like that. And then he ran into her who saw his potential, and she chose him as the eighth user of One for All. And so when he gets into the fight with um All for One, which I hope I don't get these two confused. All for One, sure, All Might demolishes, I guess I want to say right now, um, All for One. But even though he beat him, that wound that All for One put into him kind of damaged him severely. And you can see it when you look at when Night Eye is talking to him about how All Might needs to retire. And All Might's like, no, I'm a symbol of peace. I have to keep going for the people's sake. What would they do without me? And so the rest of um, the rest of the users of, well, I won't call them the users, but One for All figured that he needs to be able to sustain himself. how can we best keep him to where he can um, basically store his power until he needs to use it, because that's why he had like a when you start the show, he had 3 hours where he could actually do hero work, because it was kind of like, okay, we're going to try and like keep the cover up. Don't let the wind get to it too hard, so that the flames of uh one for all is able to keep itself stored up and keep it burning until the last moment. And so to do that, they took the first user of, well, yeah, one for all used the form of the original user, because when you hear All Might talking about, they say that the original user was a frail, sickly person. And as you looking at All Might, look at him. He's frail. He's sickly because he's always coughing up blood. And yes, it's because of that wound, but he's not. He doesn't look like someone that's in good health. Everybody talks about how bony he is. You know, he literally, his body doesn't look lean. It looks like it's just completely nothing but skin and bones. And so, yeah, that's what. And like I said, it's a stretch, but it is something that is possible, because that would explain why he was able to um how he was able to survive that like that, because probably the strain of that wound on his body would probably have shortened his life a lot more if he would stay in his regular form. But because of this, he was able to find a successor and keep going. And it, story wise, that kind of makes sense that he lasted long enough to find Deku and start training him to try and get him ready to take on being the next user of One for All. Um, and I don't know how y'all feel about that, but it's a theory. If y'all like it, hey, give me a comment, tell me what you think about it. Another theory that I have is during the I'm watching it, and I before making this video I made it just back to season 3, right during the provisional license exam. So I'm going to be jumping in my head like I was before, but let me explain that. Watching the provisional license exam, they're talking about there's a traitor in UA, and they haven't figured out who it was. Now that's from the anime. I don't know if they've ever found out who the traitor was in the manga, because like I said, I haven't read anything in the sections that I've seen about them talking about who the UA traitor is. And I haven't seen anyone on YouTube say, yes, we figured out who the traitor was. And it came up to my thoughts where I have been listening to a lot of different people's thoughts on things, like listen to anime balls deep. He's cool. And one of the stuff that he said was that we know that there's a link between users of One for All and All for One. Because since All for One gave his brother that stockpiling quirk, it's sort of like All for One is linked with that quirk at the same time. So uh because he did that, um there's somewhat of a link between who between the one who has All for One and the one who has One for All. I mean, so, yeah, All for One and One for All. So yes, I'm kind of trying to explain it, and I forgot to say, yeah. I'm thinking that Deku and All Might are the UA traders from the first few seasons. And because if they do have a link, that would explain, because they keep telling us that All for One, I mean, sorry, yeah, All for One, when they went off to that summer camp, knew exactly where they was in a matter of minutes. I don't know if that's because he actually has somebody deeply traded in, but it would make sense that if he has a link to where he knows what All Might them know, because they're linked by their quirks, that he would know anything that's going on with them, and that would lead the and the same would be for Deku. So before, it will seem like to us that um, a shock when you're watching season 3, and yeah, and when you're watching season 3, and all for one tells all for one tells All Might that, oh, that's your student, and he called him exactly by name, that it would seem like, oh, he should have known that. But what happened if, because he was the one who originally created, he actually does have a connection with One for All, that lets him know who the users are and what their abilities are. Uh, because that would be the best way. Because you're talking about between when he first fought All Might, when he gave All Might the wound, and the last time he fought All Might, he didn't expect All Might to uh, have upgraded any of his abilities. The way he basically treated it was like, okay, I've I fought you all these years ago. I knew exactly what I needed to stop you then, and you're a weaker form of yourself. So I'm just going to use the same tactics, or what I knew I would have needed back then to defeat you down. Because literally, that was he knew that only thing that he was gonna go for was brute strength, which is mostly what All Might did. But let's take that same idea and let's say you would did that with Deku, who was, when he first started off, was breaking his body every time he was trying to fight. So let's say that we took Deku and he tried to fight All for One in his first form. So all he's doing is punching. He's almost breaking his body. He gets away from All for One, but some and heals up and gets the same scars that he has now, and he gets through the training. The way that Deku learned how to fight through the year would drastically change the way that uh All for One would have had to fight him, because he's not the same person. He's not just using his hands anymore. He's using his feet style. He has shoot style. He has all these other styles that he's created to help advance himself, which is kind of odd that that All Might never tried to I about to say upgrade himself. He didn't try and create new moves that were secrets that he didn't use, like other ultimate moves that was created. And if he did, if what I'm saying is correct, and All for One knows what's going on with them, and that leads to the question of, if that's the case, why didn't he tell Shigaraki about this? Tell Shigaraki all this stuff, and it's mostly because he wants Shigaraki to become his own person. He doesn't want to be the man, the puppeteer to Shigaraki being his puppet. He wants Shigaraki to be his own person so that he can inherit his quirk at some point. And once he's able to give him his quirk, he's able to actually become his own leader of these league of villains that he has. And that's fair. But those are I only had the two theories. And it's not me trying to blame Deku or All Might. I like All Might and Deku. It's just that I'm saying that they're unknowingly giving out information on stuff that um, All for One is taking advantage of. Because, as I'm saying, ever since All for One has been arrested, you haven't seen as many leaks when it comes to and like I said, this is just from the anime. I don't see as many leaks in the UA security and stuff going on with them um since they did that. Since All Four has been arrested, you don't know what's going on out there. I mean, like, One for All still seems to, at the end of season 4, to still know what's going on the outside world. Like, he still has eyes out there, and he sees how things are being screwed up. So, unless you're saying that the people at uh, the prison that he's at is feeding him information, he probably still has a link through his quirk to be able to see what's going on. Hence, also, if you ever look at All for One, he has no eyes. Like, if he does have eyes, it's kind of covered by the skin that they put over his face. Like, his whole, you can see where the eye hole should be, but they're covered with skin. So all he is a giant smile, and he's always happy, wearing his suit. Um, so that's my theory. Those are both my theories. Um, like I said before, tell me what y'all think about them. They're theories. I could be perfectly wrong, but those make perfect sense. And if I am right, yay. If I'm wrong, oh well, it was a theory. Um, but yeah, I'll try and come with y'all with probably the next section gonna be on the B's of my B honest opinions. The anime that I have starting with B, and yeah, we'll see what happens from there. And I'll catch y'all later.